What's up guys, and welcome back to another EVE Online video. Today I want to take a look at what it takes to run a wormhole corporation. Or at least a small wormhole corporation. So a while ago, a couple of years ago, I did a series called Life of a Corporation Director. It was quite successful. When I ran it for something like 27 episodes, I really enjoyed it. It was quite successful, but then real life circumstances meant I couldn't maintain that anymore. So um, that stopped, and I just went to sort of some kind of tutorial videos and stuff. But recently, I've been getting a few requests to try and revive that series a little bit. When's it coming back? That kind of thing. So I thought I would try and do something similar, try and bring it back, but maybe in a slightly different format. So what I'm planning to do with this series is we're going to focus on, of course, what it takes to run a small wormhole corporation. What I want to do is sort of have this first episode as a summary video, a rundown of all the elements without going into huge detail. And then instead of doing like a weekly update on what's going on and things like before, what I want to do is each episode maybe dive into more detail everything we talk about today, and do like a spotlight or a focus on one specific element of corporation management. Maybe and maybe I'll be able to tie that into what's going on at the time with the corporation. So one example could be when the corporation projects are updated with Havoc on the 14th of November. Maybe I'll be able to do a deep dive into getting set up with corporation projects, how we might be using them within disaster area, that kind of good stuff. Before we dive in, I've got a couple housekeeping things I want to mention. If you're new to the channel, my corporation that I'm part of the team running it is called Disaster Area. We live in wormhole space. We're relatively small, but we have a really nice little community going on. People are always on comms, people chatting. There's always stuff going on. We are always actively recruiting as well. So if you're interested in getting into wormhole space, or I don't know, if you feel a bit faceless in your larger wormhole corporation or whatever, then just hit me up in game, join our recruitment channel, and we'll see if there's a fit there. And then second of all, I haven't run a skin giveaway for quite a long time, so this video is going to have a pretty big skin giveaway. What I want to do is maybe have the first 5 commenters win. Sorry, as long as you're subscribed and like the video, of course. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you've liked the video, and then the first 5 people to comment on the video will get a choice of the scope syndication skins. There's a Leshak and a Varga, for example, or there's the Stratios. So the Varga one I really like. There's a Stratios. There's a couple more. So basically, if you win, if you're one of the first 5 commenters, we will. If you drop your in-game name, I will contact you and let you know which skins you can choose from. So yeah, the Varga one's nice. And then anyone else that drops their in-game name and comes outside of the top 5 will enter a draw for the same thing, and we will roll 2 more winners from everyone else in the comments. So if you're not in the top 5, still comment, because you will enter the draw to win one of 2 more skins. Okay, housekeeping out the way. Now let's think about cracking on with the video, I guess. What does it take to run a small wormhole corporation? First of all, everything I talk about today and in future videos, I am not doing by myself. We have a team of people that help to run this corporation. We have a team of directors. I'm one of, I think, 5 active or semi-active directors of Disaster Area. And there is no way I could possibly do all these things by myself. I would not want to. You know, I have a job in real life. Eve is not my job. So I probably average maybe 3 hours a night on Eve, and so there just isn't enough time to do everything I'm going to talk about today, and still play and enjoy the game, which is an important thing to remember. All this kind of stuff can lead to burnout, and you're just not really enjoying the game. So that's why you have a team, and we work really nicely together. And also it means when people are taking some time away from the game, there are others to sort of to pick it up and carry that forward, which is happening at the moment. We have a couple of guys from our direct team that aren't particularly active at the moment, which is fine. They've got stuff going on in real life. I've had stuff going on in real life previously where I've not been able to log into the game for 3 to 6 months, and the corporation carries on, it pushes through, because we've got a good team running it. And also, priorities, of course, shift and change. So when I was first thinking about making this video a month or so ago, my focus would have been on relationship building, focusing on that because one of our friends was undergoing an eviction. We'd gone to support because they've always helped us, and so I would have focused heavily on relationship building. Now today, because of how things have shaped up and our priorities, I'm likely to focus more on enabling our player base, and enabling them to generate content and support each other, because that's where we're kind of focused at the moment. So priorities do change, so possibly things will shift as we go through this series of videos. But yes. So where to start is the big question. What do we need to think about? What goes into running a corporation, specifically in Wormhole space? Now, one of the big things, and I actually think possibly the biggest thing, and so that's why we'll start there, is actually some of the third-party and external tools we use. Oh, by the way, just before I dive in, I am going to now just put some not stock, but some video footage from various things around that I've been doing that I've not used in other videos, just because something pretty to look at while I'm talking instead of just watching my ship spin in structure. But yes, third-party tools are some of the most important parts to running these corporations successfully, and I do think particularly in Wormhole space for a couple of reasons. So first one is so that we can collaborate and map and keep track of where we are in Wormhole space. So we need a wormhole mapping tool. We use Pathfinder, but there was some time spent in selecting the correct tools for this. We've worked with a couple in the past. We've worked with Siggy, we've worked with Tripwire. We eventually settled on Pathfinder because it's how it worked for us. But quite a lot of thought and planning and testing goes into that, and then getting set up in those systems. I can't take too much credit for that, but as part of the director team, a lot of work was put into getting those systems set up, and then managing and running them also requires significant effort. Once they're then set up, you then also need to run some tutorial videos and things. So I've done a few videos a while ago, but they're quite long and detailed. So more recently, we had a member put together some short tips and tricks videos for the group on how to run those and how to operate them and things. And so third-party tools actually take up a really large amount of time. But they're super important. The corporation would not run, especially in Wormhole space, without them. So as mentioned, we need the wormhole mapping tool so that we can understand our environment and where we are at all times. We use there's one of the Alliance or corporation management tools as well. So we use Alliance Auth. We were previously on SEAT. And again, a lot of work and time for these ones are really a lot. Went into researching the functionality, making sure everything works, it fits with what we need to do, getting it set up, programming it. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into managing these tools. And now, why are these important? Why do we want them? ties nicely into a couple of other things that we have to think about and manage all the time. So one topic is security, and it's a big topic. We will definitely do a dive into individual elements of security in different episodes. But security is a big part of this, right? And it'll be the same for any nullsec or lowsec groups. Maybe less important for highsec groups, but security is fundamental. In wormhole space, none of your assets are protected. If your structure is destroyed, everything inside it just drops into space, and the people that can loot can take it. So security is fundamental. It really helps to protect all of our assets. We probably don't take it seriously enough. We do try, but there are elements that, ultimately we want to play the game, and we want to be friendly and welcoming and allow people that want to play casually to join our group. So there's limits to what we can do around security. We're not going to just deny people the opportunity to join us because there's a teeny tiny chance they might be a spy. But we still have tools in place to be able to implement a level of security and things. So one of the big parts of Alliance Auth is the ability to audit individual characters that come in, that join. You can audit some of their in-game history and who they've been talking to and that kind of stuff, which allows just a little bit of extra security. And so when we go through recruitment and things, which is another thing we'll touch on later, that stuff's kind of important and heads into that. And being on top of it regularly is a big part of it. So doing a bit of security vetting inside Alliance Auth, but also inside game using Zkill. Yeah. We had an incident recently. Fortunately, the guy was eventually able to join up, and I think hopefully he's having a good time in the group now. But during that eviction, our friend's eviction that I was talking about at the start of the video, we had a new guy join up, and unfortunately, in one of his mails, he just made a comment about a completely innocuous comment about our friend's Wormhole, specifically that name, and it was too coincidental to just ignore, because there was no reason he should know that Wormhole name necessarily, or want to be there, because we live in a different Wormhole. And so unfortunately we had to sort of knee-jerk, okay, this is a potential security breach. So I sent him a mail, kicked him, we got him off all our tools, and then had to go through a rigorous security check, trying to work out where the breach came from. Was it really this person? And we eventually settled on it wasn't, and re-invited them to the corporation, obviously apologized and explained. They were very understanding and have joined up, and as I say, hopefully are having a good time in the corporation now. But a bit of a shaky start for them. But that's just an example as to sort of why we have to always be on it from a security point of view, and where these tools like Alliance Auth and obviously Zkill and the like do really help. One of the other big things from Alliance Auth, and again, actually, this is why we put so much time and effort into sort of building it up and managing it, and then also we have to obviously put quite a lot of effort into encouraging our members to use it as well. But one of the other big things there is things like the ability to generate corporation doctrines, or alliance doctrines and the like, to help us again with securing our whole. So obviously doctrines link into security and stuff as well. Because what you can do in Alliance Auth, and again we'll probably have a separate deep dive session, is you can see everyone's skills, for example. So if you then start generating a corporation fitting, it will automatically tell you these pilots can't fly this because of X skills, and so then you can put together skill plans and help inform individuals the best route they can train to sort of support the corporation's defense and things. So that's another big part of Alliance Auth, and another big time sink. Not necessarily for me, because my fitting ability is not as strong as a few of our other members. I do, of course, comment and review and look at these things, but we have a few members, especially of the director team, that invest a lot of time heavily into refining fits and coming up with doctrines and things. Particularly for Wormhole defense, that's where we started. So we have a few Wormhole defense doctrines, battleships and battle cruisers, and sort of for every level. There's a few cruisers as well, to make sure that we are capable of defending against anything that comes in. But also, once they were squared away, then also more aggressive doctrine fits. So there's of course PvE fleet fits that we've had to come up with. We have a Nesta fit that works nicely. There's some lower skill. I think there's some Caracal fits for some PvE. There's a bunch going on there, but then also PvP, because we started with our PvP roams just largely going a bit kitchen sink, and we weren't being super successful, but have more recently been investing some time and energy in coming up with proper doctrine fits for roaming fleets and PvP outside of our wormhole, and also then encouraging, obviously, with skill plans and our member base to get into those and learn how to fly them. That being said, I'm going to touch on that in a second. I do really want to reinforce individual member enablement, because we've got some great members on our corporation that have recently been really stepping up to the plate and stuff. So I want to talk about that in more detail later. But yes. So, mention security, big time sink. Alliance Auth, there's more that goes into the behind the scenes on Alliance Auth. You can set up a corporation buyback, for example. So that's another big one. That's actually a big time sink again for the director team. So we offer a buyback scheme which supports our members. It supports the corporation a bit as well. We make a small amount of cash off it to be able to run our structures and things. But the buyback scheme enables our members to sell raw materials to the corporation, so that they don't have to ship all their stuff to market to make money. Logistics is not an easy thing from inside Wormhole space. We don't have a high sec static, so hauling to market is a dangerous activity, and isn't always possible. So we enable our members to sell directly to the corporation, and then the corporation then will ship stuff to market, or reuse the materials for some building projects and that kind of thing. That's a big time sink though. So again, in Alliance Auth, we needed to test the capability of setting that up and having it all monitored properly. That took a long time. But then the day-to-day running of the buyback scheme, there's a lot of time put into logistics, back and forth the market, and that kind of thing. And I just mentioned it. Another big one is structure maintenance and refueling. This is a problem everywhere. This isn't a unique thing to Wormhole corporations, but I think there is a slightly more unique element to it in Wormholes. So structure, a lot of thought has to go into structures and how we are going to defend them, and what we're going to have in our Wormhole for manufacturing purposes versus eviction risk is the main concern, right? So we of course want to be able to provide our group with the ability to do everything. We want to drop, ideally we would drop a Tatara or a Satoyu or something, and have T2 rigs and have everything set up so that you get the best return on your refining, the best percentages on your manufacturing, and we can all churn out and make a huge profit. Like that. That's of course what we want to do. But in JSpace, if you drop certain structures or have certain rigs, you just immediately turn yourself into an eviction magnet. Wormhole corporations are notoriously aggressive. It's one of the really fun things about JSpace, is there is PvP opportunities everywhere. It's why people live there. It's what we want. But part of that is the groups will go through and evict others or destroy their structures just to see what drops, just to see what we might get. And if you have, say, an Asbel with a certain rig on there, that would point to capital ship manufacturing. And so a group that wants to fight some capitals, because that's always fun, and you don't often get the opportunity to do it in JSpace, they will come and poke you. They will start taking down your structures because you got an ASBO with a capital manufacturing array, in the hope that you undock capitals and they get a good fight. And if you don't, then they still know you've got them. Why would you have spent billions on that rig and thing? So then they evict you for not being active and not having the stones to drop caps on them. So that's why you have to consider these things all the time, and what makes sense to have in JSpace. So it took us a long time to get to the point where we were happy to anchor a Fortizar, because again, Fortizar indicates that you might have capitals. You can't actually which way around is it? You can't assemble capitals in a Fortizar, but you can dock them. So it's possible that we have capitals docked in here. So someone might come and attack us just to see, find out, see if we drop them. So we do. That is a constant thing we have to think about. And then of course there's things like structure placement. What makes the most sense in terms of insta-warp capability, avoiding bubbles during an eviction event, all that kind of thing. The refueling, that's an expensive part of running a Wormhole corporation, and requires, of course, people paying attention. We've got our tools set up on Discord and on Alliance Auth that we get notified if we drop below a certain amount of fuel. But again, those things had to be set up, and refueling isn't as simple as just getting some fuel and trucking it in the stations. We have to get fuel from the market, which is, as mentioned before, not easy in JSpace. Haul it in, spending several billion a month on fuel costs, and yeah, but also then encouraging individuals, and this is what goes to enablement, encouraging individuals to be able to build fuel blocks in whole and buying directly from them at a good price, to make sure that the cash flow stays inside the corporation and its members instead of going out to market. So that's all part of it. And one other element, and this is a big time sink for not just for the directors but for the whole corporation, is every now and again it's a good idea to reseat or flip your structures in JSpace, because what that does is anyone that's been inactive for a long time, so again we warn people, we send out pings, we say, hey, like log in and move your stuff, because we're going to flip the structures and things. Because if people haven't logged in for a long time, then what it does is it jettisons all their stuff into space, only in JSpace, because there's no asset safety. If you take down a structure, everything drops, and then you reseat it, and all that stuff that people haven't logged in for a long time, that's sitting there, and sort of just potential eviction magnets again. You can release those assets, either take them out of whole or make use of them, and that kind of thing. When we do that, we do make a note of like the volume of assets that's come from certain individuals, so that if they do return to the game, they can drop us a message and we can go, okay, yeah, and we can get them set back up with what they had. But yeah, that's a very time-consuming element, but that's a big team effort. That's not just the directors, there's a big team effort across the corporation. A lot of work goes into that process, which again, might do a dive on at some point. Probably not anytime soon though, because we're not going to reseat our structures for a while, having only done it relatively recently. Okay, so talking about eviction magnets and the risk of capital ships and the rigs and things associated with them does lead me a little bit more onto the thought around capitals. I do generally I try and be a little bit careful what I say on this channel because, again, just tying things back to the security point of view, one of the biggest security risks to our corporation is me and my YouTube channel. If potential evictors watch this channel and see some, I don't know, see us ratting in groups of nesters, or see golems or vargas, and they want a good fight, or if I were to say that we build capitals and keep them in reserve for structure defense, then that would turn us into an eviction magnet. They would go, okay, cool, we can go get some content there. So I generally try and be careful what I say here, but not to the point where I restrict my channel too much. The guys are on board with it. So, and basically, if people want to find out where I live and things, they can just go and do that on Zkill. It wouldn't take very much. Doesn't matter what I hide. I haven't got the system information open here, but it doesn't matter what I hide on my stream. If someone wants to find out what wormhole I live in, they can just head over to Zkill and you can work that out pretty easily. But that's one thing. Knowing what content you're going to get is a whole other thing. So why I'm saying that is capitals are a really big consideration and a part of what people have to think hard about in wormhole space. As I said, capitals, wormhole groups want to fight capitals. You don't get that opportunity very often. So if you can get people to undock their capital ships and fight you in them, that's awesome. And you get some awesome juicy green kill board with capital kills, and that's great stuff. So understanding that and then trying to work out the trade-off between not having capitals to be able to defend yourself in the event of a full-scale eviction versus having capitals so that you can, but potentially that attracting more attention and more large-scale evictions is a difficult trade-off. So we've of course put together a bunch of fits and doctrines, and we've been thinking about this for a long time, and we've got a few things planned. But then it's a difficult question as to then how far you take that, right? Because I would really love to be able to do a few large-scale manufacturing projects for the group if we could build a few capitals, so then that goes out to sourcing the parts, getting the materials, doing the building. That doesn't have to all be me or like one director. We can spread that out across the group, but that then takes us all the way back to security, and a potential threat there is that obviously that increases the chances of people outside the corporation finding out that we might have capitals. So at the moment that's not an option. We've decided that we're not going to outsource capital building to the wider group, which is a shame, and one thing we might change at some stage. But a lot of work has gone into generating the fits and doctrines to make sure that we are ready. And I was about to say something else on it as well. Oh yeah, and then unfortunately it means we have to then restrict our members, which I hate doing. There's very few restrictions we put on our member base. At least I believe so. Decent guys, if you're still watching this at this point and you disagree, drop a comment and let me know. But we put very few restrictions on our member base, but one of them is the ability to undock and use capitals at all in wormhole space. If they want to go make friends with the Nullsec Alliance and build capitals in their thing and undock them in Nullsec, then more power to them. But in J space, they are not allowed to undock a capital ship, which is a real shame. It's a bucket list of mine is to build and undock and fly capitals, but we can't do it at the moment. Not an option to us because of what that will then mean, what then comes knocking on our door almost like the next day. and that's all around focused around security, and is a real shame. So there is a bit of management there. It came up again recently. Someone got quite excited about the possibility of building a Rorqual, for example. Um, but if you build and undock a Rorqual in JSpace and someone sees it the next day, that Rorqual will not be yours anymore. Um, so yeah, that does then lead me to relationship building, though, which is a huge part. I mentioned it at the beginning, but that's a huge, huge part of what we do is relationship build. So we, and this is all done behind the scenes. There's very little of this in game. This is all on Discord and various other places. We spend a lot of time talking to different wormhole groups, nullsec groups, highsec individuals, um, anyone for a huge variety of purposes. One of them is to be able to bat phone. Now that's a huge, big part of it. If someone comes to evict us, we have a network of friends that we tap into and have done in the past, who will jump at the opportunity to come and help out, and do it for a couple of reasons. One, because we've become friends with them and we want to defend each other. A second reason might just be because they want content. Some of these big wormhole groups, they want content, as much content as they can get, and if they're not running an eviction, and you can guarantee them content by being in an eviction, they will come and fly to your aid because they get a really good fight out of it. So we spend a lot of time on that. There's also, as mentioned with the nullsec stuff, you get potential buyers down there. So we've got two individuals in nullsec that buy huge volumes of gas, wormhole gas, from us every now and again at a good price. So building those relationships is super important. Or, as mentioned, if one day I do want to go and build my Phoenix or my Rorqual or something, then we've got some friends down in nullsec that I can tap into, where I don't know for sure, I'll need to build on that relationship, where a few of us can go down and use their structures and build capitals, for certain conditions. I'm sure, like we have to be willing to undock them in their aid, but that would be fine. So relationship building, massive part of it, and it's of course not one way, right? So if we're building relationships so that people will come and support us, if we're in an eviction scenario, then of course we have to be willing to go the other way, and we have been several times in the past. We've gone and flown, we've all undocked in a big old fleet, and flown to our friends' aid in their wormhole, and have been successful a lot of times, unsuccessful a few times, but either way we show up. So that relationship building is super important and does happen a lot in the background. Some of it also happens through the YouTube channel, which is nice. There's some YouTube partners that we're friendly with, that also are relationships that we might be able to tap into, if required. But one of the big things to remember in JSpace, and I like to talk about this because it's super important, is that 9 times out of 10, you will be very friendly with someone, but that doesn't mean you don't shoot each other. Wormhole space is everyone kills everyone until you don't, and then you team up to kill someone else. And then when you finish killing that someone else, you then kill each other again. That's just wormhole space, and that's part of the fun. We've had one group where that wasn't the case, and we genuinely were blue to each other, but literally one group. Everyone else is fair game, but you have a good relationship with them, so that you will help each other out if it really needs it. So that's relationship building. And then I'm conscious this video is getting quite long now. We're at 35 minutes. So what else have I got to talk about before we start wrapping up? Yes, recruitment. Big one, recruitment. Again, a lot of time goes into that. I personally am sort of accidentally heavily involved in recruitment, because of the YouTube channel, which is obviously lovely for me. I get to generate videos and then people get involved and I don't have to do much else, whereas we have one of our directors is our recruitment officer, and he spends a lot of time working on recruitment, chatting to individuals that come in from the YouTube channel, making sure they're the right fit, doing the security vetting, getting them set up on all the tools. That's a huge amount of work, and he deserves a lot of credit for what he does. And we also then, so again, we can talk about recruitment in more detail, but then that leads me into the empowering others to generate content. So the recruitment thing is one example of this. That doesn't have to be work done by a director, and in fact, the current director that does that, when he first started as our recruitment officer, he wasn't a director. He contributes hugely to the corporation, and we wanted to recognise that and have over time promoted him. Greatest decision we've ever made. But he didn't start there, right? And so we have a North American recruitment officer who does the same thing, and we just need to spend time making sure they've got the right permissions, getting them set up properly to do that, giving them the ability to create corporation adverts, and get them set up and trained on the tools and things. So that's one form of empowering others to generate content. But there's a whole series of others, right? So it wasn't long ago where I, as a director, felt directly responsible for generating content for others in our wormhole. That might be operating fleets, PvE, PvP, mining, industry fleets, any of these things. But anyone that runs fleets and things will know it's a huge effort, huge time sink. And when you're trying to generate all that content for your members, it's a really, really hard work. And we were letting our team down. We weren't doing a very good job at it. We would go through bursts, but not get any sort of sustained fleet activities going. So what we are doing now, we've got a few outstanding members of the corporation that put so much time into the game, so much energy and effort, and they're just great all-round people. And so they have really stepped up to the plate in recent weeks and months, and have started operating this stuff themselves, taking the initiative, taking some fleets out. And so we have been working hard recently on the best way to reward them and enable them to do this on a larger scale and to the level that they want to be able to do it. And it's a bit tough. There's a level of the current in-game capability to do that is a little bit lacking. So trying to find the right ways to do that without exposing, all of the corp's finances or something, or that kind of thing is a bit of a challenge. So hopefully, again, when the corporation projects update happens in the 14th, which I'm super excited about, that'll get quite a lot easier. But that's a big thing, and so and receiving feedback from them and how we move forward and how we can work together and things is currently the biggest thing that I and my one of my directors teammates has going on. I think that the two of us receive quite a lot of feedback from individuals that are trying really hard to push the corporation forward, and so we're trying to find the best way to sort of take that on board, decide whether it fits with our current ethos or not, and then relay feedback to them as to how we can work together to generate this kind of content. That's a big part. So there's some wallet access, or there's going to market and just fitting up a whole load of ships so that people can go and hand them out for PvP roams, or setting goals, because it's one thing saying like, hey, great, go and operate a mining fleet, but people really like to have goals. So why are they operating that mining fleet, right? What do they gain from doing that? You don't make that much money mining. You can make a lot more doing PvE or exploration. So why should people join that fleet and mine? And people don't always do it for ISK. That's not a big part of it. They want to know that there's a goal for the corporation, and like they can directly contribute to that goal. So again, projects would be great for that. But one example is we have a few individuals now that want to build, and you cannot get Noxium or Tritanium in JSpace. Doesn't exist. Tritanium is pretty easy to get because you just go mine it in Veldspar and HiSec, but Noxium is a low sec ore only. So what I've done is just asked one of the fleet commanders to start operating a few fleets just to go and get Noxium, um, giving them a pool of cash to spend to offer buyback. But also, why do we want to do this? It's because we are specifically seeding the market, so that our manufacturing individuals can get properly set up with their production lines internally. We want to build SERPs. Um, we want to build Tech 3, but that's a separate thing. I already do that, and it doesn't require Noxium. We want to build Ravens. We want to get Golems out. We want to, we want to build. We want to have a production line of ships, and to do that, you need Noxium. And so that's goal number one. Is why do we want you to go and get Noxium? Because this individual is setting up a production line for Cerberuses that will then be able to you will then be able to be set up with constant access to Cerberuses in Hull, so then you can just go and yeet them into combat, do some PvE, do a lot of PvP, just go and yeet them, and then come back and you've got another one ready to go. That's the kind of thing we're doing at the moment, and really trying to enable these individuals to push this stuff forward. Yeah. So again, Conscious has run long, 41 minutes. That's a lot longer than I actually was hoping a summary video was going to be. I don't have too much I want to cut out either, but so yeah. As mentioned at the beginning, the giveaway, loop back to the beginning if you missed it, and make sure you take part. We will be doing more episodes of this if the video gets a good bit of traction. So if you do want to see deep dives and liked the concept into the individual elements, then make sure you give the video a like, drop a comment below with specific elements that you think either I've missed or you would really like me to go into more detail on, and we will make sure that we get things up and running if the video gets enough likes to sort of justify the energy. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've made it this far, that's a huge effort. And I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.